making a bowl or missing a bowl, Kentucky has to move on from Mark Stoops. It is time. Even if he comes back, it's not fun right now. It's not fun for anybody, especially, the way that offenses look. The defense looks great, but once again, Mark Stoops is a defensive guy. But it didn't look so good against Tennessee. Bad matchup for you there. And you've got some offensive weapons, but it's time to just start all over. Hello, everyone. Welcome into Yelling from the Couch. I'm Brent Humphries, joined by my co-host, Gordon Chatterton. We're here to talk a little college football. We're at week 11. Most teams have 8 games down, 2/3 of the season over with. Gordon, how are we doing over there today, man? You doing all right? We were up late last night for a late NFL podcast, and here we are for college football today. How's it going?
Pro-wise, not so great, but we're not talking about that today.
Yeah, we came out with frustration out yesterday.
Yeah, little rants. Sorry, you had to probably edit a lot last night.
It happened.
You had a lot because I kind of spoke kind of freely at times.
It happens.
Yeah. Good thing about the edit buttons.
Yeah. Edit buttons are friend around here. So, hey, last week you said your team did really well. Man, let's go ahead. Let's talk about it then. Let's go ahead and start out with the number one team in the land, the Ohio State Buckeyes, as they defeated the Penn State Nittany Lions 38-14 in Penn State. Gordon, how was Saturday for you? I know you're kind of a house divided over there, but you had to be feeling pretty good, right?
Oh, yeah, I feel great. It had a good game, good passing. It had a slow start. They kind of let them hang around there in the first half, only up 17-14 when the first half ended, and then just took over in the second half. It was like they didn't want to crush their spirit there early in the game. They ended up taking it away later on.
Yeah, as they tend to do to most teams that for sure.
A lot of them, they snatched them right in the first quarter, but
yeah, it's like Ohio and Penn State, they didn't. For whatever reason. Yeah. But the second half, they really turned it on and got it.
Ohio's like the little brother, and most of the other teams are like close and distant relatives. Anyway, so I'm sitting there looking at, well, I mean, we did get the running game going again. Jackson did have over 100 yards. Sayin had 4 touchdown passes. He had 4 touchdown passes and 3 incompletions.
It's a pretty good stat line.
Yeah. Both are number ones. I don't say 1 and 2, our number ones.
1A, 1B.
Yeah. One of them had 5 catches, 124 yards and a touch. The other one had 6 catches, 123 yards and 2 touches. And that's
not a bad day.
Cutties.
Yeah, not a bad day.
It's a very good day at the office. Defense did their job, kept them at 145 yards passing, 55 yards rushing per team. Oh, good day. Very good day.
Yeah, absolutely. Penn State, one of their quarterbacks I see was a Clifford. Is that Sean Clifford's brother or something?
I don't know. Might be.
He threw a pass, so I don't know anything else about that. Yeah, just a dominating performance once again. Mr. Sayin is boosting that Heisman candidacy a little bit. I know you don't want to jinx it or anything, but hey, there's 2 wide receivers out there too that may deserve a little love from the Heisman getters as well.
Yeah. Yeah. To me, I mean, Smith a little bit more than Jackson. Smith got going again this year. Then once they started, putting all the focus on number 4, Tate's been wide open. He's been single coverage because you can't double. Because if you double him, you're leaving Jeremiah Smith one-on-one, and every time they left him one-on-one, it was a touchdown. Because I think he's only left alone like 3 times.
Yeah, and, the defense as well. 4 sacks for the defense and a pick. Caleb Downs gets an interception. My guy that I mentioned last week is one of my players that I'd like to see the Bengals get. Arvell Reese gets a sack and 2 tackles for loss. So perfect time for me to bring him up on the podcast last week.
Yeah. He was saying, thank you.
Yeah, so Ohio State wins 38-14. Big win in College Station. Anything else you want to add in onto that game right there, Gordon? Big win for Ohio State once again. 8 in a row for this season. Start out 8-0, number one team in the land, rolling right.
No, I think we got everything. I think we got everything covered. It was a pretty standard Ohio State game.
Yeah, beatdowns seem to come around quite a bit when Ohio State comes to your town, this year especially. The next matchup we're going to talk about here last week, and hey, looky here, Gordon. The Kentucky Wildcats go down to the Plains and defeat Auburn 10-3 in a thrilling game. SEC win on the road. You really can't take those for granted. Kentucky goes and gets it done. And as I mentioned on this podcast last week when I made a pick, I said Kentucky will beat Auburn and Hugh Freeze will be fired the next day. And well, lo and behold, Hugh Freeze is fired right after that game. Mark Stoops continues to be kind of the grim reaper of the SEC football. You lose to Kentucky and you get your coach fired. So, yeah, man. What do you think about this game here, man? Not a whole lot to talk about on the field, really.
Well, when I watched it the first time, or at least I watched part of it because I was watching wrestling at the same time, which we talked about that. I was like, yeah. I said, wow. So that's it was a little bit more exciting the first time, but you said there watched it. I don't think I could have watched it a second time.
Yeah, after we recorded the podcast last night, the replay come up on the SEC network, and just for giggles, I just turned it on and was watching. And Gage, he does a little play-by-play where he goes to school at. So I was like, all right, I said, grade my play-by-play. And I didn't even know what play it was until it got to it. And it was where Cutter Boley threw the interception at the end of the first half. And he's like, did you play in that spot? And I was like, absolutely not. I completely forgot he threw that pick right there. And if it wasn't for that, Kentucky may have shut out Auburn in that game.
Well, yeah, because that gave them the opportunity to have the ball there at the end of the half to score, like, constantly happens on Kentucky.
Mark Stoops is still the worst coach before the half at 2 minutes or under. I don't know. He can't figure it out.
But overall, I mean, Boley didn't do too bad. I mean, I wrote down, I said, was it good defense or bad offense? I couldn't tell.
I don't know. It wasn't good. It wasn't good offensively either way, both these teams. Hugh Freeze, I don't know what he was doing. He starts Ashton Daniels at quarterback, lets him play till halftime, and he's like, we'll see how he does after this first drive. Well, he didn't do so bad on that first drive after the half. And then he puts in Jackson Arnold for a complete series, and then he takes him out, puts Daniels back in the same game. And it's like, all right. I think that was the writing on the wall right there. And Hugh Freeze should definitely go now, dude. Like, what is this?
Now,
coaching job.
I think he wanted to be put out of his misery. He just wanted to be fired.
He must have.
So he can sit home and collect a paycheck too.
So Cutter Boley threw 2 picks in the game. He threw a touchdown to Kendrick Law, the only touchdown in the game. The best drive of the game was the first drive for Kentucky in the second half. 161 yards passing. Seth McGowan only had 53 yards on the ground. Yeah, man, not a lot really to go on there. Yeah, just not a whole lot. But, hey, the sacks were there for Kentucky. 17 sacks. 7-team, not 17. Sacks for the team.
I would say if you saw 17, I didn't see that on the stat line.
Alex Murray had 1.5 sacks, leading the way. Also, Khalil Saunders did 2. And just a really good defensive performance for Kentucky overall in this game. Sack'em Stones had a half sack as well. So
cool.
Jordan Lovett got a pick for Kentucky. So
gotta love it.
Gotta love it. Jordan Lovett. I just said it last year with Dominic Lovett when I was like, I don't love it when I put him in a parlay because he never does anything. So, yeah, good win for Kentucky. I still think Mark Stoops need to be fired at the end of the season. Don't get me wrong. And I'm still rooting for my team every game.
Yeah.
I think it's time for a change. Even if he gets Kentucky to a bowl, which there's a possibility that could still happen. They're just 3-5, and they've got 4 games left. And they call me crazy, but they can get 3 of them.
Yeah, we'll talk about one coming up here very soon.
Yeah, we definitely will. But, yeah, man, that's what I got there on the Kentucky-Auburn game. Just a boring game overall. And then, like I said, after that game was over with, I switched over and watched the World Series. And one of the better World Series games ever coming from that horrible college football game, but Kentucky won, so it's not that horrible. And it could have been last night's Thursday night football game, which was atrocious all the way around.
Oh my God.
If you're talking about somebody who's been up since 3:30 as yourself, Gordon, staying to do the podcast while watching the game. He almost didn't make it to the podcast last night because of that.
No, my eyes were slamming shut last night about 9:30. I was like,
yeah, Kentucky wins. It's good for the team there and get something going. But Gordon, let's go ahead. Let's jump into our segment where we pick a player that people aren't really talking a whole lot about, or they are talking about, they just don't get the love. We would like our team to draft them next year's draft. Gordon, what player do you have in mind for this week?
well, as you know, we talked about this. I worked last weekend, so I didn't get to watch the college football like I normally do. Every other weekend, I watch a lot. Once in a while, I don't get to see hardly any. Last week, I didn't. But I do have a player, and it's from my team because it's really the only game I really saw much of. Kenyatta Jackson Jr., defensive tackle. He just pushed people. He just pushes people around. You don't move him. You know, I know I'm trying to get some offensive linemen, but it's hard to. I mean, I had one last week, but I think Jackson Jr. has probably got to be about, other than Caden Curry, because he's the edge rusher. Jackson's the one that pushes them out to the edge rushers, like for Arvell Reese and Caden Curry. But that is the player I want to give some love to is Kenyatta Jackson Jr.
Nice. So I'm going to go with a player here. He didn't play last week. He was off. But after the Bengals' performance this past Sunday, and one of the key plays of the game, we talked about it last night, so I'm not going to get all fired up like I did. But at the safety position, when you have a guy just throwing shoulders out into people, tight ends especially, kind of looking for somebody who's going to be a little bit stronger, who maybe can wrap up a tight end, at least slow him down, and not just throw a shoulder into him where they bounce off and pinball all the way to the end zone. Obvious pick here would probably be a Caleb Downs as a safety, right?
Yeah.
You know, but I'm not going Caleb Downs. I went an Ohio State player last week, so I'm not going to go back-to-back weeks Ohio State player, or I would sit here every week and pick an Ohio State player that I think would be a good fit for the Bengals. So I'm not going to do that this week on here, and instead, I'm going to go with a guy who plays in the Big Ten, who was in the Big Ten last year, but he's transferred, and that is safety Dylan Thinnaman from Oregon. He was at Purdue the past few years. He's got 7 total interceptions in his career. He's got 247 tackles, 11 passes defended. And this guy can cover tight ends, and he's good in the running game. I think that's what the Bengals need right now. There's needs all over that defense. So instead of me kind of going obvious and going Caleb Downs, I'm going Dylan Thinnaman because he's a sound safety, and, he's got the skills that you need out there to just the fundamentals. He's a fundamentally sound safety, and the Bengals kind of need to go back to the fundamentals, I believe, at this point in time. So I like him, and I wouldn't mind seeing the Bengals take him in the draft.
That's really a good pick. And speaking of Purdue.
Yeah, we'll pick that one here in a little bit. Oh, man. So, Gordon, that'll bring us now to our next segment here, and that would be Yell or No Yell. Gordon, how many Yell or No Yell topics you got this week?
I only got a couple. I forgot to write them down, but I got them up here. So,
all right. Well, if you want to go ahead and hit me with your first one,
I got him up. I got him up in my head. Miami. We talked about last week. Miami is completely done. I don't think they have a prayer of getting to the ACC championship, and I'd say they're out of consideration for the top 12.
I'm yelling with you on this one. This was a potential one of my Yell or No Yell topics, only with a different team in the ACC. But Miami, I think they're done for 2 straight losses. The ACC is a weak conference to begin with. They may just get one team in there from the ACC. I don't think it's going to be Miami this year. I'm yelling with you. They've not looked good the last couple of weeks. Carson Beck looks like Carson Beck from last year, which is not good, especially the last few weeks. Yeah, Miami's in trouble, big-time trouble now.
Yeah, I mean, I sent you emoji one time a game, a dumpster fire, because that's what he looks like playing. It's amazing what he looked like the first 5 weeks, and then you get to the Loserville game, and he looks like garbage, and then the following week he looks like the garbage on fire. His season hit a cliff and just dropped. It's like Wile E. Coyote hitting the cliff and going.
Yeah, that's how his seasons went. For my Yell or No Yell first topic, I'm going to stick around with this topic right here in the ACC, and it is, and I hate to say this so much, I really hate to say this as a Kentucky fan, the Louisville Cardinals are going to win the ACC championship and be in the 12-team playoff.
Right now, I got to yell with you. They're playing better than anybody else in the ACC. I kind of thought it was going to be Georgia Tech, but they hit a wall last week.
Duke's been sneaky too lately.
Who's that? Oh, yeah. Duke's good. I mean, I figured they was.
Yeah, they're not winning the ACC, but they're sneaky.
Oh, yeah. They can ruin some dreams if you're up there on top and go in there and play them and take them lightly. But I didn't understand why. Yeah, remember a couple weeks ago when Georgia Tech went to Duke and they was actually road dogs being undefeated. And I didn't know why. Mm-hmm. When I watched the game, I figured out why. They're actually a really good team.
Yeah, they are. But I feel bad about it right now. I mean, because I only feel bad because it's Louisville. If it's any other team, I'd be like, oh, okay, whatever. But it's Louisville, so I don't feel good about it picking them for that. But I think that they are the favorites right now to win the ACC, and I think that they'll probably do it because, yeah, the ACC pretty much sucks. No offense, Gage. I know he's hoping the Pitt Panthers get up there. I mean, they've got a pretty good record, and they're a pretty good team, but I don't see – Virginia hasn't impressed me. Georgia Tech didn't impress me last week. That was a disappointing loss, I believe, at NC State. And then, Louisville is right there, and Pitt's right there. So Miami is as they're done. Miami's done. They don't have any shot to win the ACC, and they're out of the top 12-team playoff. Florida State, beginning of the year, yeah, we seen what happened after that. Norvell's probably going to be fired for long. So, yeah, that's what I think. That's what I think on that one. That's my first Yell or No Yell. What's your next topic, Gordon?
Well, before we do that, pack your bags, prime time. It looks like you might be getting a call for job offer to Florida State.
I don't think he's going to get offered either. The way it's been going in Colorado for him this year.
He can't get the offensive line players. He can't get the good ones. So, but you're right. Record is record. So in the top 12, there's going to be 4 teams from the SEC and 4 teams from the Big Ten.
I'm yelling with you on that one for sure. Yeah, I mean that's the 2 best conferences by far and away, especially between the Power 4 schools. I mean the ACC, as we just mentioned. I mean there's not a whole lot there in the ACC that's going to make the 12-team playoff. I mean you'll get the 1 at least guaranteed. You may get a second. And in the Big 12, there's 1 to 2 teams, and you got to put a group of 5 school in, which I'll talk about here in just a minute. But yeah, I'm with you. I think it's going to be 2 to 4 teams apiece for both conferences. Sure, yeah, maybe.
One of them might actually get 5.
Yeah, I was about to say one of them may get 5, no doubt.
Because the group of 5 has to get in, so there'd be 10 spots. Mm-hmm. So whoever doesn't win the Big 12 or ACC better start getting geared.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm with you. I'm yelling with you on that one. I think so because hey, so speaking of the group of 5, there are 0 teams in the top 25 right now out of the group of 5. I'm pretty sure. Gordon, I believe you yell or no yell with me on this one. If a group of 5 team isn't even ranked, I don't care if it's the best group of 5 school, they don't deserve a spot in the 12-team playoff. No matter what. If they're not ranked, if they're not a ranked team, they don't deserve to be in this 12-team playoff. Throw out the group of 5. Don't care what the rules say. But if they don't deserve to be there, we don't deserve to have that game. What do you think?
I agree, because if they're not ranked, that means they're not playing anybody. And what's going to happen, I mean, as far as being fair, yeah, 1 team should be in there, but it's not about fair. It's about watchability. If someone sees a school that, is unranked, but like 10-2 that from a group of 5, yeah, they could shock somebody. It happened. That's how Boise State got its name. Yeah, beating Oklahoma. I mean, hey, I got a better idea. It's not a group of 5, but in the 12-team tournament, bring in the FCS champions.
That would be better probably than having a group of 5 school in most years. I mean, this year especially. Because, South Florida, they look like they were a contender for a while. They've kind of tailed off a little bit. You seen what they did when they played Miami. Miami killed them, and we see what Miami is now. Who was another team, group of 5? Memphis. People were big on Memphis there for a little bit. They kind of tailed off quite a bit.
Tulane for a little bit.
Tulane for a little bit, yeah. And they got thumped last week by the Roadrunners, I think.
Yeah, UTSA Roadrunners. College needs to change their name to the Wile E. Coyotes.
Yeah. The Roadrunners who thumped Tulane that got thumped last night against South Florida. So all these group of 5 teams are beating up on each other. One of them's going to make a playoff, and then they're going to probably get thumped in the playoffs, and that's just going to be like pretty much a bye week for the number 5 seed, which is why they should not be in there making a competitive game. Give it to a Power 4 conference team that was on the bubble. Just get them on in there. Do away with the group of 5 automatic bid.
Whoever was number 12 gets in.
Yep, that's what it should be. But that's not how they're doing it this year, but they should change that after this season. I get trying to include a group of 5, but if you're not good enough, sorry, try to get it next year.
Better luck next year.
All right, Gordon, what is your next yell or no yell top?
No, I only had 2, so.
Well, I will go ahead and I'll say this, and this kind of isn't, it's kind of going to go with the theme I've got here later on, but I kind of mentioned it earlier. Kentucky wins against Auburn. Kentucky still got a shot to make a bowl. I think regardless, making a bowl or missing a bowl, Kentucky has to move on from Mark Stoops. It is time.
Well, I definitely agree with you. Yeah.
Yeah, even if he comes back, it's not fun right now. It's not fun for anybody, especially, the way that offenses look. The defense looks great, but once again, Mark Stoops is a defensive guy. But it didn't look so good against Tennessee. Bad matchup for you there. And you've got some offensive weapons, but it's time to just start all over. Just start fresh all over. Zach Calzada's out here on the internet flashing all of his money. I don't know if you saw that video or not, floating around.
No.
Kentucky. So he's out here now, and he's just like counting his $100 bills all over the place. And it's like, all right, so we've scouted and we've wasted money on this guy right here. That's not a good look for Kentucky right there. The guy got paid $1 million, and the hometown kid that you already had in your locker room takes over and has looked a whole lot better than Zach Calzada ever thought about looking here. So Kentucky just needs a fresh start scouting a little bit better with a different group, and just some fresh blood in there for Kentucky after this season. Let's go.
Yeah, whoever decided on Calzada, look at him and say, do you like him? Well, say, yeah, I think he's pretty good. Then he's definitely out.
So that'll do it for Yell or No Yell. And Gordon, let's go ahead and let's get into our picks for this week. We've got a few games here coming up, and let's go ahead and let's start it out in the Big Ten. The number 2 Indiana Hoosiers travel to College Station to face, not College Station, State College, whatever it is. They travel to Penn State to face Nittany Lions. Indiana is a 14.5-point favorite on the road. Gordon, what are we thinking on this game right here?
I wonder what they know that we don't. Now, I know Penn State kind of, put up a fight last week. Ryan Day won't step on their throats. It's obvious Indiana will. They had a slow start, but boy, it didn't stay slow very long. I mean, they just absolutely stomped.
Barely.
They scored a lot, wasn't it, 55?
Yeah, it's 55-10 over Maryland.
Yeah, it started slow, but boy, it didn't end that way.
No, it did not.
It turned into a boat race real quick. And I hate saying this because, well, you know why? Indiana in the cover.
Yeah, Penn State, like you said, put up kind of a little bit of a fight. The James Franklin-less Penn State Nittany Lions, the Drew Aller-less Penn State Nittany Lions, facing Ohio State at home. Ohio State just put it on them in the second half. Like you said, Ryan Day didn't like step on throats, but Kurt Cincinnati doesn't have a problem with it. This guy, he just, if it's them as a favorite or an underdog, he's just going to keep on going. And I think maybe This is kind of a revenge game last year for that college football playoff game. I've got Indiana winning this game here, and I got Indiana covering that spread because Indiana always covers. So I like Indiana here. The next matchup we're going to head to, we're going to go to the SEC, and we're going to go number 5, Georgia Bulldogs, traveling to Starkville and those stupid cowbells to face the Mississippi State Bulldogs. Georgia is a 9.5-point favorite on the road. Gordon, Georgia's been a little shaky at times this year, but they're still number 5 in the nation. Still in the driver's seat to win the SEC. What do you think about this one?
I'm a firm belief that I don't know what's going on with Georgia, but they do keep winning. I mean, it's like it's not even half to half; it's quarter to quarter. First quarter they play like dog crap, and then the second quarter, they dog walk the opponent. Third quarter, kind of stumble and trip and fall, and then the fourth quarter, it's a boat race again. It's not even half to half or game to game. It's quarter to quarter. And sometimes it's from possession to possession. But I got Georgia winning the game. Them cowbells are annoying. And I can see how it would distract you. So I got them Georgia winning, but not covering.
Yeah, man. Last week, Mississippi State, they played Arkansas at Arkansas and got their first SEC win of the season. Maybe first SEC win in a couple of years. Bobby Petrino and Arkansas, they're like the Bengals and the Cowboys. They play all kinds of Big 12. I mean, he fit in real well in the Big 12. All offense, no defense. It's a shootout whenever Arkansas is playing, but Mississippi State got the better of them last week on the road. They're back at home this week hosting Georgia. Georgia coming off of the win in the cocktail party against the Florida Gators. And they didn't look very good. Like you said, you never know from quarter to quarter. Sometimes it's drive to drive. Little John Stockton is one of the more inconsistent quarterbacks that we've got in college football this year. But that being said, I think Georgia gets the win in this one, and I'm with you. I think that the Dogs cover because those cowbells are annoying, and this will be a game into the fourth quarter. Georgia's going to get, Georgia fans are going to be really nervous getting late into the fourth quarter, but Georgia will end up pulling it out. And the next matchup we've got is a top 10 matchup in that Big 12 that we just mentioned. The BYU Cougars travel to Lubbock to face the number 8 Texas Tech Red Raiders. Texas Tech is a 10.5-point favorite. Gordon, the disrespect for those Mormons out there in BYU, it happens weekly. What do you think on this one, Gordon?
It does happen a lot. But this time I think them being underdogs is warranted. Texas Tech is a hell of an offense. And for Big 12, they don't play bad defense. It's not great. It's not good, but it's not bad. I know BYU can play some defense too, but mainly they have close games that shouldn't be close. They're kind of like they don't want to step on nobody's toes or throat or nothing. Sometimes you got to break a few toes. Obviously, watch Indiana. They don't mind breaking your toes, ripping your spirit out, stabbing you in the heart. They don't care. But I got Texas Tech winning, but I don't have them covering. This is going to be a close game.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a good game here. Will the Tortillas hit the field? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. But, man, BYU undefeated so far. They beat Utah a few weeks back. They blew out Iowa State. Texas Tech, on the other hand, they blew out Kansas State last week. Like you said, they played really good offensive. Looked really good. The thing that worries me with Texas Tech is their quarterback, Baron Morton, I think is his name. This guy's been there for a while. Really good quarterback. But the guy is often injured. And when he gets injured, that team's just a different team. He gets injured quite a bit, though. Will he stay healthy in this game? We'll see. That's to be determined. But because this is the only game where I see this could be possibility, I'm going to roll with the undefeated BYU Cougars in this one. Give me the Cougars because they're the road dog, Jesse James. And there's my one for this episode. And our next matchup, we've got the number 9 Oregon Ducks traveling to Iowa to face the number 20 Iowa Hawkeyes. Oregon is a 6.5-point favorite on the road. Gordon, what are we thinking here in this Big 12 matchup? Big 10 matchup.
In this matchup up here, I've got Oregon winning, but no covering. I said, and don't be shocked if Iowa wins. They don't have no offense, but weird things happen in Iowa, especially in November. Some of the craziest games ever. I mean, they beat Ohio State at a night game in November. They've done it to the team up north. They've done it to Penn State. They've done it to everybody, but it's always when they're at home and it's in November.
Yeah, both of these teams coming off of a bye week. Iowa dominated Minnesota the last time that they played at Iowa. So that's a pretty big deal. And Oregon kind of just they beat Wisconsin, but it wasn't impressive. It was kind of a game. Iowa wants one of those games because, like you said, offensively they're not too impressive, but defensively they're always good. They're always really good until they play a really, really good team. Oregon's a good team. I don't know if they're a really, really good team. Usually the over-under in this game is like any over-under, you always take the under in an Iowa game. This is 42.5, so I think take an under in this one as well, continue that streak there. But give me the Ducks in this one. I'm with you. I think they win, but I don't think they cover. I think Iowa makes it ugly, keeps it close, and hangs around for quite a bit in this one, and the crowd will be into it. And it'll get, it'll be dark there. So towards the end of the game, you give me Iowa to cover, but Oregon to win. And now, let's go to the number one team in the land, the Ohio State Buckeyes, traveling to Purdue to face the Purdue Boilermakers, West Lafayette. Ohio State is a 30.5-point favorite on the road. Gordon, what a point spread, and what do you think?
I think that's one of the largest point spreads of the year so far, isn't it?
Yeah, for a Power 5 or Power 4 game, yes.
But yeah, I don't take I'm not doing the cover, no cover. They probably will, but I'm still not going to. I'm not going to say it. I say they're going to win and very, very comfortably. Like I said, it's at Purdue, and I still have nightmares about the Rondell Moore game. Give me Ohio State, and I do believe I know they'll probably win. They'll probably win comfortably, and I'd say we're going to see 4 different touchdown scorers. I mean, other than the two usuals, Tate and Smith. I think Jackson and Donaldson will probably both get a rushing touchdown, or they'll score.
We all know what Ohio State is. They're the number one team in the land, for sure. They dominated all season long. Nobody's really played them that close. Texas, but that was the first game of the season. The defense is phenomenal for Ohio State, and the offense ain't too shabby themselves on that end. Purdue, on the other hand, they got blanked a few weeks ago by Northwestern. But since then, they've played some teams close. They played Michigan pretty close. Who else did they play pretty close? They played Rutgers pretty close. It's just Rutgers. But they played some close games. So, they're not great by any stretch of the imagination. And I don't think they keep this game close either. I don't think this one's going to be close compared to them because they weren't playing Ohio State. They were playing Michigan. They were playing Rutgers. They were playing Northwestern. Ohio State's a whole totally different animal, different beast. Give me Ohio State, and I think that Ohio State covers that spread at 30.5. Huge spread, but it's getting covered. Give me the Buckeyes. And the next game we're going to go with, and it is going to be in the SEC. Number 3, Texas A&M travels to Columbia to face number 22, Missouri Tigers. A&M is a 6.5-point favorite on the road. Gordon, what do we think here?
Okay, now, I wrote this down because I just wanted to make sure Texas A&M is a hell of a team. But I got this feeling this right here is my dog pick of the week. They're home dogs. I've got Missouri coming out on top because all good things must come. And Tickle Me Elko always has a burner game a year. I believe this one's going to be it.
Wow. So you're picking the upset here, Gordon? You're not going to believe what I had down for my upset here. I went with a road dog because I had to take a road dog earlier just because I had to throw in the reference. But I wrote down that Missouri is going to win this game against Texas A&M. Texas A&M is a top 3 team. Nobody's talked about them all season. We've mentioned how appreciated they've been. Well, we're going to find out, they're going to find out that while Missouri has got one of the better running backs in the league, I think he's going to run all over them. And the Missouri defense ain't too bad either. Missouri's a really good team. This game's at home. It's in the prime slot in the middle of the afternoon. All eyes going to be on this one for the SEC. I think Missouri pulls off the upset over Texas A&M, and of course they cover because they're the home dogs. And I can't say anything on that one, but yeah. We stay in the SEC for the next matchup, and that is the Auburn Tigers with a brand new interim coach traveling to Nashville to face number 16 Vanderbilt Commodores. Vanderbilt only a 6.5-point favorite in this one, Gordon. Vandy coming off of a loss last week. You think they can bounce back this week?
Yeah, I think they will bounce back. Once again, that was a loss that was totally attributed to a turnover from Mr. Pavia. I mean, he had a fumble, which they was moving the ball, and they was getting close to their scoring area. He fumbled the ball, and they went down and kicked the field goal. That's a minimum of 6-point swing. I mean, so he doesn't do that. He doesn't do that 2 games in a row. And I'm not all that in Auburn. There's nothing to be impressed about with them anyway. So I have Vanderbilt, and I've got them covering probably pretty easily.
Yeah, Vanderbilt last week, when you get down 34-10 going into the fourth quarter, you put yourself in that big of a hole and you come back and you only lose 34-31. If you wouldn't have put yourself in that big of a hole to begin with in the first 3 quarters, you probably pull out that win against Texas. And you're well into the top 10, well on your way to a college football playoff. Now, you've got a little work to do. Auburn, on the other hand, fresh start, interim coach. Everybody's going to be fine. Yeah, let's go. No, it's not going to matter. You can put Jackson Arnold in there, Ashton Daniels. It doesn't matter who's quarterbacking for them. That team is awful. First-hand experience. I don't think that their offense is very good at all. I do think they got a pretty good defense, but I don't think they're going to have a whole lot for Pavia and the guys. Give me Vandy. I think Vandy covers this spread. 6.5, I think, is low. Give me Vandy because they're going to be able to put points on Auburn. That's at home. Now, let's go back to the ACC. Let's go with the Wake Forest Demon Deacons traveling to Charlottesville to face the Virginia Cavaliers. Virginia, 6.5-point favorite. Gordon, what do we think here? Virginia just got 1 loss in the season, or 2?
I think it's 1. Once again, this is a team that, I mean, yeah, they're 14th and they're undefeated, but they've skated by every win they've had. I mean, of equal talent distribution on the field. I have Virginia, but I don't think they're going to cover. Wake Forest is better than what they think they are.
Yeah, Wake Forest got a 5-3 record, and I'm with you. I think that they're better than what you think. Virginia, not as good as what you think. The last time, though, that Wake Forest played, they got beat down by Florida State, 42-7. But they beat teams like SMU this year, and yeah, they played Georgia Tech pretty close. Georgia Tech just beat them by 1 in overtime because they go for the 2. But I've got Virginia winning this game too, but I'm not impressed by Virginia. Right now, they're in the driver's seat for the ACC, but nobody wants to see this team in the 12-team playoff. Trust me. I mean, this team is going to get crushed. I mean, you might as well put a group of 5 in there instead of them if they make it because it's going to be the same result. But give me Virginia in this game. I think they win. I think Wake Forest covers. And it's going to be another week where Virginia's like 9-1 and all this and that. And like, playoff hopes. And it's like, yeah, they're not impressive. The next matchup we're going to, and we're going to go a little independence here. And how about the Navy Midshipmen traveling to South Bend to face the number 10 Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Notre Dame is a 27.5-point favorite. Gordon, people may wonder why we put this game up here like this. Why do we do this? Well, it's a little bit of a styles clash here, and seems like the armed forces schools usually play Notre Dame pretty tight in these games. But what do we think here?
I believe it is going to be tight. I do have Notre Dame winning, but I don't have them covering because they're not going to have enough possessions. I mean, Navy's going to score on them at least once or twice, and they're not going to have enough possessions to have a 4 touchdown win over. If they have 5 if they got 6 possessions, they've had a good day because Navy's going to possess the ball for going to possess the ball for over half the game.
Navy does put up a few points, but they're not going to want to play in a up and down kind of game with Notre Dame. Trust me on this one. I'm with you here. I think Navy covers the spread. Notre Dame wins. They'll win kind of comfortably, but there won't be enough possessions to cover the big spread. But I think Navy could keep it within 2 touchdowns and kind of scare Notre Dame just a little bit. Just a little bit, just not enough. So the next matchup we've got, and that would be SEC matchup. The Florida Gators travel to Lexington to face the Kentucky Wildcats. Florida is a 3.5-point favorite on the road. Gordon, what are we thinking here in this matchup?
Well, evidently, the odds makers are thinking they're pretty evenly matched because a home team gets a no. They think that Florida is a touchdown better. Yep. No, they're not. I got Kentucky winning. It's not impressed me at all.
I like it. Florida played Georgia pretty close last week. Florida beat Texas earlier in the season. Florida also fired their coach sometime this season. Florida's been a disappointment. Florida's coming up to face Kentucky in November for the first time since like the 80s. The weather's not going to be that big of a factor really in this one. Kentucky coming off of a huge win last week against Auburn. Well, not really a huge win in terms of standings and all this, but a huge win for Kentucky as in their first SEC win in their last 10 SEC games. They get Florida coming in. Mark Stoops and the guys wanting to ugly this thing up. Let's get ugly. Let's get ugly again. Give me Kentucky in this one. I think Kentucky wins it. I think they cover. I think Cutter Boley has a better game than he did last week. And Kentucky gets after DJ Lagway quite a bit in this one. And Kentucky gets their 4th win of the season and then just need 2 more. The path to a bowl is still there. After this Florida game, you get Tennessee Tech. All right, I feel good about Tennessee Tech, Then you get the Vanderbilt Commodores. That was a little heavy for sure. And then you get Louisville. It's a rivalry game. Kentucky will be up to play that game. If you can get this win against Florida this week, there's a path to a bowl for Kentucky for sure. But you've got to win Friday. You've got to win Saturday. That's for sure. But if you do that, hey, we may be in the bowl game again this year with Mark Stoops, and he can ride off into the sunset, take his money, and run. Like Zach Calzada has done, apparently. So our last matchup we've got here on these top 25 pick'ems, and that would be the LSU Tigers traveling to Tuscaloosa to face the number 4 Alabama Crimson Tide. Alabama's a 9.5-point favorite. Gordon, no Brian Kelly for LSU. What do you think on this one here? Is this going to be close?
Yeah, it'll be close because LSU does have talent, and they're going to be motivated. They got a new coach. Because that's the way all teams play with new coaches. It's like ignition in the butt. It's for some reason it makes them want to play. Not like the money they're getting or the education isn't enough, but I got Alabama winning. I got them covering just for the simple fact that it's Alabama and it's in Bryant-Denny Stadium. And I have no faith in Nussmeier at all.
Me either. I mean, somebody on here picked him to be a potential Heisman candidate at the beginning of the year. I don't know who done that. That's silliness. Anyways, LSU, they fired Brian Kelly 2 weeks ago after being beat down by Texas A&M at home in Death Valley at night, which never happens and should never happen to LSU, but it did that night. And he didn't last much longer. They get a bye last week, so you've got 2 full weeks with a brand new coach. Will that help? Yeah, that'll help a little bit. Will that help enough to win this game? No, it won't. Roll Tide. Tide wins this game. Tide covers because it's at home, and Alabama is the better team by far and away, and they're going to keep, making their push to the playoffs here. LSU, they've got the talent, like you said, but they're just not. I mean, they have nothing much to play for. Maybe to play spoiler, Alabama's kind of looked a little shaky at times this year, and other times they've looked really good. But I think they win this one. I think they roll with the cover. I'm with you on this one. Give me the Tide. So, yeah, that'll do it here for our picks this week. Gordon, you got anything else you want to add here to this here program?
Yeah, not talking about the Heisman, but I feel pretty good about my team so far this year. We got 2 guys that should be in the running for the Biletnikoff. We should definitely have someone up there for the Bronco Nagurski Award. and the Jim Thorpe and the Maxwell.
I mean, Kentucky should have somebody, maybe the Ray Guy Award, but that's about it. Which Kentucky does have a Ray Guy Award winner a few years ago, Max Duffy, punter for Kentucky. He did win, but that was when Kentucky was actually decent and he played.
Oh, by the way, not to change the subject and go back to pros, but speaking of Ray Guy, did you see those freaking punts? Not from not from Denver, but
AJ.
God. See how one hit the one and just flew, it just rolled down, flew down the sideline. Yes.
Over to the out of bounds right there. Yes. What a punt.
He punted the square root of get your ass back there.
Yeah.
He went and hit and went straight.
Yeah. I mean, he couldn't have walked it out there any better than what he did.
And then he caught the cornered one that bounced inside the one.
Yeah. Guys, I mean, they got a weapon if they only had other weapons.
Yeah. The Raiders has got the best punter, but the joke is because he gets a lot of practice, a lot of in-game practice.
Well, back in the day, so in the spirit of Kentucky and Florida, when Steve Spurrier used to be there, they used to interview him after the game, and he'd be like, well, Kentucky's got a great punter. So if the other team is saying, you got a great punter, that doesn't say much about the rest of your team, but that's the only positive thing he has to say.
And if that's your team's MVP for the season, you had a bad year.
AJ Cole may be the MVP for the Raiders. That's the best player I've seen. Because you don't get Brock Bowers involved still. Like, how does that happen?
Yeah, last year he had 12, or last week he had 12 receptions for 107 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Last night, he
had 31 yards, and I know he had, I've never seen 3. I thought he got a 4th one, but 2 of them I wouldn't even count as targets. Like I said, one of them flew over his head on the sideline. The other one hit the dirt 3 yards in front of him. I don't call that a target.
I think they only targeted him once after they tried that stupid end around like that. Why are you doing that? Let him just play tight end. Let's not do jet sweeps with Brock Bowers. I mean, come on. That's not his special.
That's college bullshit. Yeah, he did that stuff in Georgia, but that's college players.
Yeah, it's the NFL's a whole different ballgame. Everybody's elite out there, just about, unless you're on the Bengals.
Or the Raiders offense.
The Raiders offense, or the Cowboys defense. Most of the guys are elite, I should say. I shouldn't really say all, but most of them are in the NFL. The speed's a lot different, even up from the SEC. But, yeah, man, a lot of good games this weekend, I believe. The spreads are a little high on some of them, but some of them are going to be really good. Some of them may be sneaky good. My big upset pick, I got the road dog, Jesse James, BYU, and then we both got Missouri upsetting Texas A&M. So it'll be an interesting week for sure. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's going to be some good football on this weekend.
Yeah, no doubt.
And I'm off. I guess you get to watch it.
There we go. That'll do it for this episode, and we will catch you all in the next one.